The SNP were dealt a huge blow after a former EU commissioner said it would not be possible for an independent Scotland to join the EU if it used the pound without a formal currency deal or its own central bank, unearthed reports reveal. First Minister Nicola Sturgeon and her Scottish National Party, SNP, are drawing up plans for Scotland to leave the UK as soon as the coronavirus pandemic is over. A second independence referendum is high on the SNP's agenda, with support being strengthened by the pandemic and Ms Sturgeon's victory at Holyrood's May elections, just one shy of a majority. However, a few obstacles do remain between where Scotland is today and where it wants to be post-independence. One of the biggest issues is currency and what tender Scotland would use outside the Union. Ms Sturgeon has claimed the country would continue to use sterling for as long as necessary. But a government white paper compiled by the Economic Affairs Committee ahead of the 2014 independence vote said this is not a viable option. It noted, the choice of currency is perhaps the most important economic decision an independent Scottish government would face. While an independent Scotland could continue using sterling without the rest of the UK's consent in the same way some Latin American countries have adopted the US dollar and Montenegro uses the euro, the country would have no central bank and no access to the services of, or influence over, the Bank of England. Yet, Scotland has a large financial services sector that relies on access to central bank services. Moreover, at the time, Olli Rehn, the former European Commissioner for Monetary Union and the Euro, wrote to Danny Alexander, then Chief Secretary of the Treasury, to say having a central bank was an essential requirement of EU membership. Now an MEP, Mr. Rehn said in a letter that the SNP's apparent plan to use the pound without the formal permission of London, a policy known as sterlingisation, would simply not be possible. Mr. Rehn said the currency issue arose because that would obviously imply a situation where the candidate country concerned would not have a monetary authority of its own and thus no necessary instruments of the EMU, Economic and Monetary Union. He wrote that a core part of any new membership negotiation was for the applicant to commit themselves to EMU, and that implied the will and expected capacity to meet the tests for joining the euro, a policy former SNP leader Alex Salmond repeatedly rejected.